Okay, I'm not too prepared to film a video for this, but we're going to try to adjust the valves on my DR. I'm sorry the camera's so focused in here. I'm using my phone, and I don't have my wide-angle lens, but first we're going to start off by taking the screw off both these side covers, and then setting them to the side. Once we do that, I think that's a 13. We'll pull the seat off. The fuel tank should probably be 2 10s. And then there's this plastic shroud in there. So we're going to rip that off of there. And the bike's been sitting for 2 days, so it's cold. And we're going to continue do that, and then we'll get back to you. Alright, so when you pull the tank off, you're going to have a one line over here. Just unhook that. If you don't have a Raptor petcock or a petcock with an off on it, sucks for you. You're probably going to leak a lot of gas. That was one of the first things I did, because I cannot stand not having an off on my petcock. That's a Suzuki thing for you. So when you take the tank off, there's this rubber isolators here that are underneath the tank, and then there's a set of rubbers on top. Make sure you take that off so you don't lose that. And what else we got? I'm not sure if we got to take these off yet, these plastic shrouds, but that's not a problem. In my tank bag over there, I have the sockets, the Allen sockets, to getting the window off, and this stator cover. I think that's what you call it, but I think they're a... Let me see if I can't find those sockets for you. Got one here, two. You're gonna need a 10 and an 8mm Allen. There's other ways of going about doing this if you can't get those out of there, but that sucks. Yeah, they strip out really easy. If you can get them out, I recommend getting new plugs because they suck. But mine came right out. I just give them a little test to see if they'd come out, so in case I had to order other ones, but they come out. Mine came out really easy. I mean, it's a 15, the bike's only 2 years old, and they're not too boogered up yet, but we'll do that. We're going to pull out, there's 2 spark plugs on this, we're going to pull the outside one out too. We're going to change the plugs while we're in here. I have almost 6,000 miles on there. These are, I think, factory replacements, which are the NGK CR10Es. But I ordered those a while ago, and I never got to change them. But I got these, the CR9Es, which are 1 hotter, so that should give me some more power. So we're gonna pull those caps off of there. We're gonna get this rocker cover, inspection cover off of there, here and here. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so I got the caps off over here, the one spark plug out. I think you see the spark plug. I don't think it was gapped properly from factory. That's 6,000 miles on one plug. I got 2 new ones here. You want to gap those to 0.03. You need something like that. So you want to come there. You just want to slip that between the electrode and the body of it. And just wiggle it until you get the gap right. But we got that, the rocker covers. I guess you can call them a rocker cover off there. You want to make sure that the O-rings are fine before you put them back on there. They're 10 mils. This one I had to get with a wrench. It's a little bit tight. So now what we got to do is come back to this side. I have my ratchet here with the 17 on it, with the lower cap. And what you want to do is you turn this counterclockwise. Not clockwise, counterclockwise. You do not want to go the other way. And you're going to look through here. I had to go find a little flashlight. And you're looking for a T. The T stands for top dead center. There are 2. The T will come around twice before you get the right top dead center. The one way to be sure that you have the right top dead center is to look in here and see if you can see the piston. Or you can probably get a 1/4 inch extension and just see if it hits the piston. If the piston's at the bottom, you got the wrong one. If you got the other one, it's at the top, and that's what you want to check for. The other way to tell is you can grab the little rocker on the valve, and it should have a little bit of wiggle and a little bit of wiggle on this side. I didn't turn it over yet, so we know it's not there. This one wiggles a little bit, that does it. At the right top dead center, neither valve is up or down. They're at virtually a dead spot. It's right where the piston comes up, you know, and letting the exhaust out right when the fuel's going to come in. So it's like I'm waiting for something to happen. So it's a very little margin, that T. You'll be able to see it directly in the center of this window is where you want it. And if you go too far through here, you do not want to back it up. You want to go around once and another time till you get it perfect. Sometimes a ratchet is not the best thing to do. Maybe a little breaker bar on the end of here, or maybe you can clip a vice grip to the extension just to fine tune it. But that's what we're going to do, and when I get there I'll show you. Okay, I hope you can see it. There's the T. You can see it there. And then let me see if I can't get this in there. I could see the piston through there, but just to test, this is a good way to do when you're doing timing on a car too. The extension goes in. It doesn't go too far. It's touching the piston. It's not going to damage nothing. Just if you can't see it, that's one way to tell if you're there. So you could see if we get a profile of it, where the valve position is there, and where it is over here. I'm probably gonna have to take this off. It'll be easier to get to this side, so I'm gonna rip these two 10s off of there, and it should come right. What I did was I took these two bolts out of there, and then just kind of flop it off to the side. I mean, you could probably take it off the other side, move it. There goes the tank grommet. You don't want to lose these either, but there. Another piece of advice is make sure you clean around here, some compressed air maybe, before you take the spark plugs out, just so no dirt gets in there. I just thought of that, but mine was fine. So what we're going to do is you're going to need a set of feeler gauges like this, and what you're going to do is you're going to slip, you see where this nut, if you could look in there, you see where this nut piece is? Down there where it meets the actual valve, you'll see like a gap, and you should be able to shove, you just pull any of them out, one of these feeler gauges in there. This is a .005. That's the smallest one I actually have. The intake is recommended from .03 to 05, so if 05 fits in there, it'll be fine. 4 would be the best, clearly, and then the exhaust would be .008. You want to do is you want to adjust them evenly between intake and exhaust. So you want, if these are 5s, you want both to be 5, or as close to possible as possible, as close as possible. And for these, the same thing. You want the valves to open at the same time. And how you would go about doing that to adjust them is you would just take a 10, crack this nut loose, and then you could, they make a tool for this. I mean, it'd probably be easier, but you take a square head screw and twist it loose, or you get a little wrench, depending what you have, maybe a plier. I mean, they're not going to be super tight. And once again, left counterclockwise will loosen them up, and clockwise will tighten them up and make the valve tighter. But over time, the valves should get tighter, so if anything, you should be loosening them. So we're gonna try and do this. Shove a feeler gauge in there, see how it is. I think I'm gonna start with the exhaust because that's the harder part. So I like to start with the harder side to get to, and then the rest seems easy. All right, you could see where I have the feeler gauge in there. Let me see if I can get my hand in there. Like that. That's the .05, and it goes in. This side will go in, but it's a little snugger since it's supposed to be .04. I'm gonna say this one's good, And then I'm going to tighten this one just to be a little bit snugger on that gauge, so they'll feel a little bit more even. And then I'm going to check the back ones too right now. Okay, this is what I came up with. I shoved the feeler gauge in there, and I could still slide it back and forth. And I took that square tip screw, and it fits in there perfect. There it is. And I just tightened it clockwise, and until it was nice and snug, and I can move the feeler gauge in and out. It's sort of how it felt on this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to tighten this screw inside the vice grip to keep the top of it from moving. So hold it with one hand, keep it fixed, and then I'll take my 10 wrench and tighten it down to that lock nut down. Then I'll check both of them. It'll should be fine. Very similar. Turn the motor over back to this position. Check it again, and if it's fine, put it all back together and you're good to go. I checked this, the exhaust side, and it's perfect. They're 0.08. They're in spec. I'm going to put that valve rocket cover back on there, and it's going to be good. I already changed this back spark plug, so all I have to do once I get everything back together is shove this spark plug back in there, the new one of course, put that in there, start it up, see how it runs, and while it's warm, well, the point is to warm it up so I can get all the oil out, and so I can change the oil on this filter for the year. Make sure you tighten these caps back up, but we'll come back here. Spark plug's in and the cap's tight. You just want to snug those up. You don't want to over tighten that, especially these. If the ears are damaged before they get worse, replace them. They're cheap enough. Just get new ones, or they make nice aftermarket billet ones. Next up, we're going to do the rocker covers. What you're going to do is take a rag, just clean off any oil or residue on there. Make sure your O-rings are fine, otherwise you're going to have there's O-rings in there, make sure they're clean, otherwise you're going to have an oil leak. Make sure there's no dirt on them if you drop them or anything like that. And just snug those up too. They're not crazy tight. And then the rest of the bike is a reverse process.